Hello, I'm Dr. Santosh Shah. In this video, we will talk about a very important method called moment distribution method. In civil engineering, when we construct multi-story buildings, then this is the structure which is highly indeterminate. Many times the structural engineer needs to check the answers whatever he has got from the analysis, and moment distribution method till date it is the most powerful tool for finding bending moment and shear force using hand calculation or finding manually. Let's say this particular problem, suppose any such problem, for a particular continuous beam, if you want to find out what are the bending moments approximately, then we can easily find out by, if we know the loads and the spans and all, easily by using moment distribution method we can analyze it. So in this particular chapter we will see how any problem can be solved by moment distribution method. Before moving further, we should understand some basic concept. First of all is stiffness. Stiffness by definition is known as force required for unit displacement, or it is also defined as moment required for unit rotation. So suppose we consider a bar subjected to some axial force capital P and having length L, then we know that under this particular load it is going to be deformed, elongated by amount delta, which is equal to PL upon AE. Now as per the definition of the stiffness, it is force required for unit displacement. So here the force required P for delta displacement, the force required is PL upon AE. So force required for unit displacement, when we set delta equal to 1, that force is equal to AE by L, and now this AE by L is known as axial stiffness of this rod, and the stiffness in general is denoted by symbol K. So similar to axial stiffness, there is now rotational stiffness, which we will be using in this particular chapter, defined as moment required for unit rotation. So here we are considering two cases for a beam. A case in which the other end of the beam is fixed, or it may be continuous. So let us consider beam AB, in which we are considering B, and we want to know if we how much moment is required for unit rotation. Suppose if we are rotating this joint B by amount theta, we know from the theory that we require a moment equal to 4 EI theta upon L to rotate this joint B by amount theta. Here we should note that the far end is fixed, meaning the far end of B is point A, joint A, which is fixed, and we know from the theory that the moment required is 4 EI theta by L, and by doing that a moment which is developed at the far end, which is in the same direction, 2 EI theta by L. So now as per the definition, moment M required at B for theta rotation is M equal to 4 EI theta by L. So moment required for unit rotation, when we set theta equal to 1, okay, so what is the moment required is going to be 4 EI by L. So this 4 EI by L is known as the rotational stiffness of the beam, and the case here we are considering is far end is fixed or continuous. Similarly, when far end either is a hinge or roller or overhang, that is a case number 2, the same beam may be, but here the far end, the other end which was a fix in the previous case, here it is hinged, or it may be roller, or it may be overhang. Applies to all the three cases here. So we know that the moment required is 3 theta by L if we want to rotate this joint by amount theta. So moment M required at B for theta rotation is 3 theta by L. Now as per the stiffness definition, we should have a value for unit rotation. So when we set this theta equal to 1, then moment M required at B for theta equal to 1, so this will become 1, so it becomes 3I by L. So we say that the rotational stiffness of a joint when far end is either hinge or roller or overhang, then it is given by 3EI by L. So we have to remember these two expression, that if far end is fixed, stiffness is 4EI by L, and if far end is hinged, stiffness is 3I by L. We will now consider very important concept of carryover. Carryover by definition is defined as the ratio of moment developed at far end, let's say M dash, to the moment applied at the near end, let's say M. So let us consider the first case when far end is fixed or continuous. We just saw this figure in which at the near end, this is called near end. Okay, so if I apply a moment at near end, that B, which is 4EI by L, by doing it at the far end, that is at point A, there is moment developed is 2EI by L. So moment applied at near end is 4EI by L, and by doing it, moment developed at the far end at this point is 2EI by L. We'll call it as M dash, and this will call it as M. So as per the definition of carryover, when we take the ratio of M dash by M is going to be 2EI by L upon 4EI by L, that is half. Now what does this carryover say? This half carryover, this says that when you apply any moment here, okay, half the moment will be developed automatically at the far end, okay, because of the fixity condition, and the direction will remain the same. So this is how we will remember this carryover equal to 1 by 2 when far end is fixed or continuous. Let's take a carryover in the second case when the far end is hinge, roller or overhang. So this is the definition of the carryover, ratio of moment developed at far end to moment applied at the near end. Now here there is no fixed support. We know hinge support cannot resist any moment, so moment at this point is going to be 0. So even though we apply the moment equal to 3I by L here, there is no moment developed at the far end. So moment applied at near end is 3I by L for unit rotation here, but the moment developed at the far end M dash is 0. So when we take the ratio of M dash upon M, it becomes 0 in this case, a case in which the far end is hinge, roller or overhang. So we get another important relationship to be remembered, that carryover equal to 0 when far end is hinge, roller or overhang, and carryover is equal to 1 by 2 when far end is fixed or continuous. Now comes a very important concept of distribution factor. Distribution factor is basically is a ratio. It's a factor, and it is basically found as a ratio of stiffness of a member known as K to sum of stiffnesses of all the members meeting at the joint, that is sigma K. And this particular factor is used to actually find out when there are two or more than two members are meeting. It is very similar to distributing property of a father among the sons. So if number of sons are 2 or more than 2, property is to be distributed. So here the net unbalanced moment at joint is to be distributed among the members in the proportion of the distribution factor of the member. Now how to find distribution factor? By definition we know that distribution factor is equal to stiffness of a member, that we have seen how to find the stiffness K, divided by sum of stiffness of all the members meeting at the joint. So that is mathematically you can say it's K upon sigma K. We know the stiffness, it is 4EI by L when far end is fixed or continuous, and stiffness is 3I by L when far end is hinge, roller or overhang. Let us solve a problem in which a distribution factor is to be found. Let us take this particular continuous beam. This is called two span continuous beam. This is span number 1, span number 2. A continuous beam can have a number of spans, but here we are taking a simple problem of two span continuous beam. So as we can see, in the question it is written that find distribution factor at point B. Even if it is not written, we can understand that distribution factor is required when there are two or more than two members are meeting. So here you can see that B point is a point where two members are meeting. So we want to know whatever is unbalanced moment at this point, how much will be resisted by this member BA and how much will be resisted by this member BC. So yeah, this is, so we can prepare a small table and for ease of calculation. So the whatever point you want to find the distribution factor, the first column will be that particular joint. Now this joint B has two members. One is BA, this is called BA, and from B to C is called BC. So BA and BC, they are the members meeting at joint B. Now for let us say BA, okay, from B at point, if is this is the near end, the far end is A. Now what kind of support is the far end? Far end we know is a hinge, and we know when far end is hinged, the stiffness of that member is considered as 3I by L. So for BA member, the far end condition is a hinge condition, and the stiffness formula we will use is 3EI by L. EI is constant, purposely kept here, so 3 into EI, and length, that is a span, is 3 meter, and so we'll get the stiffness of this member is EI. And similarly, when we consider the second part BC, for this member, now far end is a fixed support, that is the C. Far end is a fixed support, and for that we have to use the formula 4EI by L here, and EI is constant here, so 4EI, and L is 4 meter, so here also it comes out to be EI. This is the own stiffness. Now we have to sum both this stiffness, and to get total stiffness sigma K. Sigma is a summation of this EI and EI will become 2EI. Now as per the definition of distribution factor at this point, it is a ratio of K by sigma K. So this is EI upon 2EI here, and here it is EI by 2EI, and it comes out to be 0.5 and 0.5. That means the distribution factor is 0.5 in this side, and in this side 0.5. That means it is distributed equally 50-50%. Now there is one more concept of fixed end moment we will use in this particular chapter. Fixed end moments are the moments developed at the fixed supports for the standard, for any loading, and for the standard load case we have to remember this formula. A point load at the center, point load W at the center of span L is given by WL by 8, WL by 8. A fixed beam subjected to UDL over span L, the fixed end moments developed are WL square by 12, WL square by 12, both are hogging in nature. When the point load is acting at the odd distance, A distance here and B here over span L, then the moment developed, fixed end moment developed here is W into A into square of B upon L square, and here it is W into B into A square upon L square here. And this is when there is a moment. In case of moment, you should remember that the direction of all the three moment will remain the same. This is the M is the moment, A, B and L are the distances, MB into B minus 2A by L square, and MA into 2B minus A by L square. These are the fixed end moments. In short, it is known as FEM. We will be using this formula for solving the problem. Sometimes there may be settlement of a support, and if any fixed beam, if suppose B point is getting settled by amount delta, then moment developed at this point will be in the direction of settlement given by 6CI delta by L square, and at A same moment is getting developed, that is 6CI delta by L square. And if the support is getting rotated by amount theta, moment at this point will be 4 ei theta by L, and at the far end it is going to be half, that is 2 ei theta by L. This is due to rotation and this is due to settlement. These are the special cases. In a problem it may be required. Balancing of end is a concept we have to apply in case there is a hinge or roller or overhang support either at the starting or at the end. Let us say this is a problem. Here in this problem, in the starting itself there is a hinge support. We know hinge support, if it is at intermediate, it can take it is acting as a continuous support, but if it is at the starting, then bending moment at this point has to be 0. So when we get the fixed end moment, it may have some value, but in that case we have to set it to 0. For example, if the fixed end moment is some value, let's say minus 30 at this point, then actually in this balancing of end step we have to set this value as 0. If already it is minus 30 by fixed end moment, we have to add from our end plus 30 so that it becomes 0. Okay, and anything in this particular chapter, anything we add from our end, we have to always provide a carryover at the far end. Since we have added plus 30 moment here and far end is continuous, half the moment has to be given as the carryover. In this balancing of end in detail we will see in the numerical, which is there in the next slide. If the end support is an overhang, the moment should be set as the overhang moment. If it is a hinge or roller, it has to be set as 0, whereas if it is overhang, its moment should be set as overhang moment. Now let us solve a basic problem in which all the steps whatever we have seen in the previous slides will be summarized. Analyze the continuous beam by using moment distribution method. So this is also known as like two-span continuous beam. Distribution factor we have already seen in the previous slide, that how to find distribution factor at this particular point. This far end is hinge, so it is stiffness is 3 ei by L. This far end is fixed, so its stiffness is 4 ei by L, and L and L, if we consider 3 and 4 respectively, it's going to be own stiffness ei and ei. This is total stiffness, and ratio of own stiffness to total stiffness, ei upon 2ei becomes 0.5, and here also ei by 2ei becomes 0.5. That means the distribution factor BA, in BA side it is 0.5 and BC side it is 0.5. The next step is to find the fixed end moments. In this step we have to, whatever is the loading, we have to consider it as if it is applied on a fixed beam and find out what are the moment developed. For example, this AB span, there is a load at the center 80 kilonewton. So for finding fixed end moment, we have to apply this load as if AB is a fixed support, a fixed beam, and load is applied at the center. So we know the formula. If W is applied in a span of L, it is WL by 8. So here W is 80 and L is 3, and if we do it 80 into 3 by 8, we get 30 and 30 here. So this is how we can find fixed end moment for member AB. For member BC, we have to apply this loading on a fixed beam BC like this, and for that we know the formula WL square by 12. W is 60, L is 4, and when we substitute we get 80 and 80. Now in the moment distribution we will say anti-clockwise as negative and clockwise as positive. So these moments will be accordingly this direction. It will be taken plus or minus. So now next step is very important step of this particular problem, is called moment distribution table. It's always the moment distribution method. We have to draw the data, basic beam and the loading, and then we have to draw the faint lines in which we will construct the moment distribution table. The first step in that is to write the joints. Now there are 3 joints, A, B and C, so we have to write joints. Then we have to write down what are the members. Like here this will be known as AB, this will be known as BA, this is known as BC, and this is known as CB. Then we have to find out distribution factor. We know distribution factor will be there for a joint in which either two or more than two members are meeting. We have just found in the previous slide that distribution factor for this case is 0.5, 0.5. This 0.5, this always the sum of distribution factor will be always 1, and here 0.5, 0.5 shows that whatever is unbalanced moment here will be distributed 50-50% in the both the members. Then comes the fixed in moment. In the previous slide we saw that there is a anti-clockwise moment 30, here clockwise moment 30, so we'll say minus and minus 30 plus 30, and for the UDL it was minus 80 and plus 80, so you have to write down according to the sign conventions. The next step is a balancing of, and this is very important step. We know that here this is a hinge support and it is at the starting, so we must set this moment as 0. In no case there will be moment, whatever loading we put here, but final moment at this point is going to be 0. Since we know it, we will make it 0 here. Since it is minus 30 here, in order to make it 0 we will add plus 30 like this. And in moment distribution, whatever we add from our end, we have to always provide a carryover at the far end. Now the far end of this is a continuous, so carryover is half, and carryover is always given with the same sign. So plus 30 we'll have a carryover of plus 15 at the far end as a half the carryover. And after this we have to draw a line. That is why I have made a dark line here, and we have to sum up the moments, and that will be set as initial moments. So here when we sum up, it is going to be 0. This 30 and 15 plus is going to be plus 45. This is minus 80 and this is plus 80. So these are our initial moments, and we have to do the moment distribution of this particular unbalanced moments. So next step is unbalanced moment. We have to see for equilibrium on either side of a joint, the moment have to be same. If they are not same, then we will make it. First of all, we have to understand how much moment is unbalanced. As we can see here, it is plus 45 here and minus 80, meaning there is a minus 35 moment is unbalanced, which is to be balanced at this particular joint. So we know that any unbalanced moment will be balanced as per the distribution factor. Since our distribution factor is 0.5 and 0.5, this minus 35 with the opposite sign, with this minus 35 multiplied by these factors and can be written here, have to be written here with the opposite signs. So plus 17.5 and plus 17.5. How we got it? Minus 35 into 0.5 and 0.5, and it with the opposite sign. So plus 17.5 and plus 17.5 are the distribution. As I said, that whatever moment we add here, we have to provide the corresponding carryover to the far end. Now far end of this is a hinge, so there is no carryover, it is 0. But far end of this is a fixed, so half the carryover with the same sign we have to provide, so plus 8.75. After doing this carryover, there is no unbalanced moment at this point B, so the problem is over. The table is to be concluded, so we can draw another line. And this, be careful, this unbalanced moment we have to write down outside the table, so that we by mistake don't include in the total. So as a final moment, we have to sum up the moments between these two lines. This is 0, this is 45 plus 17.5 plus 62.5, this is minus 80 plus 17.5 minus 62.5. It is very important that after adding you should check that these two moments is of same in magnitude and opposite in the nature. So as we can see, it is same 62.5, and one is plus, another is minus, and this is 80 and 88.75 will become 88.75. so these final moments, we have to understand what directions they are acting. This is 0, This is clockwise, here anti-clockwise and clockwise. This shows that there is a hogging moment here in this region BC, and here also in region AB there is a hogging moment. Now this very important step of drawing bending moment diagram. So first we will use the method of superposition for plotting the bending moment diagram, in which we first plot the hogging moment. Hogging moment is also we call this as a support moment, since we got these moments at the support only. This is 0, this is 62.5 total moment, and it is a negative hogging moment. So with some negative scale, we'll write here 62, we'll put a point here 62.5, and this is also hogging. So from here baseline we'll plot a point 88.5, a point will be marked here, and these 3 points will be joined with the always with the straight line, and we'll get a diagram here. So this entire diagram is a hogging diagram. Now on this diagram we will superimpose the moment diagram, bending moment diagram, due to this loading on the simply supported beam, and that we call it as simply supported bending moment diagram. It is a positive diagram. Any central point load in a simply supported beam is a diagram, a triangular shaped diagram with a central ordinate equal to WL by 4, and any simply supported beam subjected to W UDL throughout the span is going to have the simply supported bending moment diagram as a parabola like this. And both these diagram are positive, the previous diagram is negative. When we merge these two, when we add this together, we get the final bending moment diagram. So this is WL square by 8. When we take W equal to 60 and L equal to 4, this central ordinate is 120, and this is WL by 4. W is 80 and L is 3. We are going to get it as 60 kilonewton meter. Is a positive, and this is negative. So final bending moment diagram is when we add this two algebraically. So when we superimpose this two, this is how the diagram will be. This entire thing is nullified. So this is positive, negative, positive, negative. This is how, this is a point of contraflexion 1, point of contraflexion number 2, and point of contraflexion number 3. This is how the final bending moment diagram is drawn. Now we'll see how we can plot the shear force diagram. It is very easy to find the shear force, for which the method involves is first we have to show the final moments and as per the directions, like here these are hoggings and these are the values. Now support reaction we have to find out by addition of two things. First is reaction due to external load 80 kilonewton. So it will have the reaction of 40 and 40. Just we are considering the external load 80 kilonewton which is acting at the center. So the reaction due to that will be 40. This 60 kilonewton per meter throughout the span will have the in a 4 meter will have the reaction of 120 and 120. So this is the first step, reaction due to external load. Now we will have reaction due to the unbalanced support moments. Now here there is a moment of 62.5 which is clockwise, and here it is 0. So in this AB beam, AB member, the net moment is a clockwise moment 62.5 which is unbalanced, and we know from the concept of mechanics a couple is balanced by another couple in the opposite direction. So this 62.5 kilonewton meter couple is balanced by developing reactions at the support in anti-clockwise direction like this, and the value is given by unbalanced moment divided by span. 62.5 divided by 3 is a value 20.83. It will be downward here and upward here, then and then it can become anti-clockwise. So clockwise is balanced by anti-clockwise meaning downward here, upward here. 20.83. how we got this? Unbalanced moment 62.5 divided by span 3 meter. So this is upward, this is downward. Now similarly here there is a clockwise moment 62.5, anti-clockwise moment 62.5 and clockwise moment 88.75. So we know from this this is governing and that is a clockwise moment, and the difference here is 26.25. that is a difference by this amount, this is higher. So the net moment will be like this, net unbalanced moment. Again it's a clockwise, so a couple developed to balance it will be in anti-clockwise. downward here, upward here. 26.25 divided by span is 4. So final reaction will be the algebraic summation of these two reactions. 40 upward, 20.83 downward, so net is 19.17 upward. 40 upward, 20.83 upward, 60.83 upward. 120 upward, 6.56 downward, so 113.44 upward. 120 upward and 6.56 upward, 126.56 upward. It is very easy to plot the shear force diagram. First we have to draw baseline and start from here, 19.17 upward. Then there is no load between A and this point, so it's a constant, and there is a downward load of 80. So when we deduct 80 from this, we'll end up with minus 60.83, that is below the baseline. Now there is no load from this to this point, so it will be a constant line. At this point we have to go up by 60.63, so it will become 0, and then again go up by 113.44. this is at the point B only, so it reached this above the baseline 113.44. then we have to go down by 16 to 4, that is 240 in an inclined pattern, and when we deduct 240 from this, we'll end up with 126 minus 126.56. from that, if we go up by 126.56, we'll meet the baseline. This is plus minus plus minus. This is the final shear force diagram. So this is how the entire solution of the problem by moment distribution method can be done. Thank you very much for your attention.